Naturally, a program has to have an order for introducing the letter sounds. Now, this order is not particularly significant. It really does not matter if a g sound is taught before a b sound, or an I before an a, so long as the children learn them and also learn how to use them for reading and writing words. And this is the order we chose for Jolly Phonics. Our reasons were as follows. With the first group of 6 letter sounds, you can make the most words, and that was what we wanted to do, to have plenty of words with which the children could practice the skill of blending. We introduced the caterpillar k early on so that its shape would help with learning the letter sounds that start in a similar way, such as the d, o, g, and a. We kept the sounds d and b in separate groups because the children often muddle them up. And in group 4, the a, o, I, e, and or sounds are all digraphs. That is, 2 letters are needed to represent one sound. We deliberately introduced digraphs before we had finished the single letter sounds, because we wanted to say that the digraphs were just as important as the single letter sounds. People often say they teach phonics, but miss out the digraphs. Now, this is like giving the children half a code and expecting them to work out the rest for themselves. Some of the children will still manage to succeed, but others will struggle, and they often fail. Now, these digraphs would not be so awkward if only one way was used to represent each sound, but frequently in English there are many ways. For example, let's look at the A sound. Now, here are 3 common ways of spelling it, and they are taught in steps 2 to 5. The first one is the AI, as in rain, hail, and laid, and that comes in step 2. Then there's the A hop over E, which is sometimes known as magic E or a split digraph, and it comes in words like name, cake, and plate in step 4. And then there's the AY in step 5 for words like day, way, and play. However, if that was not enough, there are even more alternative spellings than these, but in reality there are far fewer words that use them, and these more unusual spellings are covered in step 6. Here we have the single letter A, and it usually, in fact nearly always, has an A sound. But in these words it has an A sound, as in apron, angel, change. Then we have EI, as in faint, vain, and veil. EY in they, grey, obey. And then we have EIGH. Now, 4 letters are needed for the A sound here, as in words like ate, nay, and slay. Then there's ET at the end of ballet, sorbet, and buffet, and there are very few of these words. And there are even few of the EA with an A sound. Now, this EA nearly always has an E sound, occasionally has an S sound, like in head and bread, but here it has an A sound in the words great, break, and steak. And then there's the AIGH, as in straight, and as far as I know, that is the only one. So you can see from this that the English alphabetic code is complicated, which is why we start in a simple way and gradually introduce children to the more complex aspects of the code. And as each new letter sound is taught, more words become available for reading and writing. These words have been provided for you in the free materials in the resources section on the home page, as well as at the end in each of the steps for teaching reading and writing. So here you can download the words that you need for the teaching. And you can see as each new letter sound is introduced, more words become available. So with the N, now these words are available. With the K, these words, and so on.